Hi, everyone. I'm Maria from formerly Pause Alchemy of Women. Now it's called Incorrigible Woman. I am starting a new podcast season this year, and I'm really excited about it. Really excited to share everything menopause, women related, health related, stress related, anything involving women and their experience, and how we are in the world and how other people are with us in the world. So I just want to come on and talk about um, one of one of the topics that's really important to me is that being a woman is not a disease. It's not a diagnosis. It's not some sort of thing to be cured. There are, without going into gender politics, women and men and all the things in between. Um, but for women, we often get this feeling like there's something to be cured, something to be fixed, something to be changed about us, about our ways in the world, about our hormonal experience, about menstruation, about menopause, about all the things. Now, I live in a super macho country. I live in Peru, and the machismo is super high here, but it's also really alive and well with the patriarchy in the United States. And I don't mean for this to be political or anything, but women get interesting treatment in a lot of ways. If you're a minority woman, forget it. It's a whole new thing. Um, but women are in the medical field, are in the area of medicine traditionally underdiagnosed. Like you go in and they say there's nothing wrong with you, and there is, and they send you on your way. Men are more likely to get proper medical care. Um, Women are undertreated, sent away saying, it's all in your head. Um, that it's not that bad, that that's just what it's like to be a woman. That's what it's like to have your period. Yeah, all in your head. And don't even get me started on the term hysterical, coming from, I believe it's Greek or Latin root of uterus, um, meaning it causes hysteria to be a woman. And that makes me actually so enraged that I want to become a hysterical woman. But that traditionally, for years and hundreds of years, probably has been kind of a diagnosis, which is not hysteria. But yeah, being crazy based on having a uterus. Um, so things like period pain, PMS, pain during sex, infertility, excessive bleeding, migraines, losing 1 to 2 days a month from having your period because you have some sort of problem, either the excessive bleeding or pain or whatever symptoms are going on, PMS. Um, and then, like, that's not normal. That's common, maybe, but common and normal are not the same thing. That is not how it should be, nor should you have a horribly debilitating menopause. Um, Most women will have some sort of symptoms because it's a big change, but it shouldn't be horrifically debilitating. And like I said, common and normal are not the same thing. We're so used to women having all of these symptoms, having PMS, having, like I said, debilitating pain with your period every month for like 30 years. That is not normal. It's common, unfortunately, but it's something to be looked at and not something to be shamed or that it's all in your head. The other side of this is kind of the medicalization of women's symptoms. Um, my dog has decided that now is a good time to play with her squeaky toy. So the other side of this is pharmaceutical companies trying to give over medicate women because there's something so wrong with us that of course you need medication, and coming up with things like female sexual dysfunction, which is really not a thing, and PMDD, which is premenstrual, I have to read this, premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So it's like supposedly extremely bad PMS and calling it a disorder like it's a disease. So I don't in any way want to downplay the pain and symptoms of these sorts of things. Um, but it's not a disease. It's a hormone imbalance. And if you've seen my podcast before, you probably heard me talk about Aviva Ram. She's my favorite doctor. She's wonderful. She was a midwife and herbalist, well, still is a midwife and herbalist for many years. And then in her 40s, went to Yale to become a medical doctor. So she has a very well-rounded idea of this. So it's not one, it's not hippy dippy. So it's a one side and it's not purely medical. It's kind of in the middle of she has both sides. And I value her opinion very much. So I've been rereading now her book, Hormone Intelligence, which is amazing. I mean, it's kind of a heavy read. I have a science mind, so I recommend it to some people that thought it was too scientific, but all of her books are amazing, and she has a podcast too. Anyway, to read a couple of statistics from her book, 50% of birth control pills are not prescribed for contraception, or not only for contraception, but mostly for menstrual problems like pain or regulating your period, which is not what it's designed for. Fertility medicine is projected to be a $41 billion industry this year. Um, and women are sent to fertility doctors after only trying for a couple of months. So again, not to downplay the struggle of women who would like to get pregnant are having a hard time. Um, and that's a magical thing that is a real deep desire for most women and many. And so I don't want to downplay the struggle and the medical advancements in how women are finding that they can get pregnant after thinking they couldn't. It's a very real thing, and some people have problems with it. And after a couple of months, you shouldn't be considered a candidate for really expensive fertility treatments, because sometimes it takes some time, and also getting your hormones back in balance could be the simple thing to be able to get you pregnant. Pregnant women themselves often get so much medication and treatments, dozens of lab tests that some of them are necessary, some of them many of them are unnecessary and potentially harmful. 1 in 3 births results in a cesarean in the United States, not in this country. It's much higher than Europe even, and um, that's a serious surgery, cutting through your abdominal muscles, getting the baby out. So when it's necessary, it's a magical medical advancement that has saved the lives of many babies and mothers, I'm sure. And if it's not necessary, that is not the way that your body is designed to get the baby out. There's necessary, and then there's over the top because the doctor feels like he doesn't want to come in the middle of the night, so he schedules one. And that happens more often than you would think. Possibly 50% of those unnecessary. 1 in 3 women also get a hysterectomy in their lifetime in the United States. Um, Again, this is another medical advancement that when a woman really needs a hysterectomy, it is a magical, potentially life-saving treatment procedure. And 1 in 3 women, that seems outrageous. There's a lot of benign conditions where there are alternatives, or if nothing else, having women be offered alternatives before just going full to surgery. And then menopause. Menopause has been treated like a disease since like the 1950s. It's um, male doctors mostly, and this isn't to say all male doctors, but that's traditionally how it was. They want this fountain of youth. And I mean, a lot of women want it. I don't necessarily want to be old, look old, feel old. But it is the natural process of how things go. Hormone replacement therapy obviously has its place, and there are women that are just really suffering and they feel like HRT is really saves them, or saves them, a lot of pain for the duration of when they're on it. And so there's this, and there are risks, and declining estrogen itself, like the symptoms that are really kind of really messing with the quality of life. Some women do find this to be necessary, not all women, but there are risks, and declining estrogen shouldn't be seen as a deficiency. Just like when you're under, before you get your period ever, you don't have the same hormones, and that's not a deficiency. It's just a different time of life. So even though it's declining, it shouldn't be seen as a deficiency like vitamins that you need that you should take. It isn't necessarily that because eventually it's going to decline. That's like the process of your life as a woman. So, and then that's not to mention the improperly tested devices and medicines and things that are all the rage, and like the Esure device, which is permanent birth control, which is now not allowed to be used. Women were hemorrhaging, having all these different problems. Unnecessary pap smears when girls are under 21, which I had. Birth control pills, all different ones that weren't tested properly. I forget the name of the one that it was years ago that was causing strokes. And IUDs. Don't even get me started on IUDs. And like I said, this is never to judge anything that anyone is doing, but this is kind of to judge the medical community for just kind of using women as guinea pigs for all of this stuff, for these things that are we've been they it's like we're being convinced that there's always something wrong with us. So all of this to say that you are not broken, you are not flawed, you're not inherently damaged just because you were born with a uterus and ovaries. And we have these hormonal fluxes, which are totally natural, both within our cycles and then as we go into menopause. And it's just to say, give yourself the knowledge about your own body. Learn about your body, learn about symptoms, learn about what you can do. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you learn. I am not a doctor and I'm not a super hormonal expert, but I am pretty well versed in all of this stuff. And so, yeah, feel free to come back and check out the podcast, which will be hopefully happening weekly. And just know there's ways to balance your hormones and heal your body without all these interventions. And like I said, sometimes medical intervention is necessary, and this is never to shame anyone who has already done these things or decides to do them. It's just knowing that you have choices. You have choices. Being a woman is not a disease, and we don't need to be ashamed of being women and all of the things that go on. Men have their things, we have ours. Everyone in between has their things. Yeah. So thank you for tuning in. And I hope to see you next time on the podcast, Incorrigible Woman. It'll be on Facebook and my Instagram, as well as YouTube. And I will check in and let you know what other podcast platforms it will be on. Thank you.